now. Yeah, my mic's on. You know, ironically, maybe you'll only be able to get us in Spanish now, because my mic seems to be failing. Hey, what's going on? Welcome back. You know, for a full 8 minutes, a Roseville woman was clinically dead before being brought back to life. Marianne is with this author whose baby's delivery took a turn for the worse. Having some mic issues. We'll come back to them in just a little bit. In the meantime, Tina McCoy, come join me. I can use your mic. All right. How about this? Hey, welcome back. This is what happens when they leave me at the big kid table all by myself. I think we got it handled now. All right, it's a serious story. What happened in those 8 minutes is the subject of the new book. It's called A Baby Nearby. Marianne?
This one? I guess we're going to go with this one. Kathy, thank you for coming in. Kathy Baker's story is absolutely fantastic. The book is called A Room Nearby, and you wrote it after this experience you had when you were delivering your first child. You were rushed into an emergency C-section. The epidural was misapplied, and you died. For 8 minutes, you died.
I did.
On the table. But what happened in those 8 minutes is the subject of this book, and it took a lot longer than 8 minutes to experience. I didn't even know where to begin to tell the story of what happened to you. So to start with, where you were in the operating room, and you were sort of found yourself, as we hear often, sort of floating above the room.
Right. Once they injected the epidural by mistake into my veins, I went into full cardiac arrest. And it was at that moment that I rose above my body and I was looking down at the operating room, and there was just total pandemonium in there. And I couldn't understand what was wrong because I was fine. I looked down at my lipless body. I looked around the room and everyone was screaming to, hurry, hurry, we have no blood pressure, we've lost her. It was at that moment that as I looked at each person in this room, there was a silver cord that was attached to their solar plex.
That is one of the most fascinating things about it. You describe them as energy strands between people.
Absolutely.
And the way that when you're connected with somebody mentally or spiritually at that time, that we all have these, and we don't see them right now, but they're all there. And it's what we feel is like energy that you get from a person.
Exactly. It's the connection that we all have, whether we have take action or non-action, and how it affects each person.
I know we only have a few minutes to talk about this whole huge topic, but one of the things that you said would happen is eventually you went up to, I guess you call it heaven. You went to a different plane, and you met your grandmother, whom you had never met in life because she died before you were born.
Right.
And she sort of escorted you through this afterlife, this world. And one of the things you got that I thought was so interesting was what you call a life review. And they made it clear, you said, that you were going back to Earth. You were not here to stay. But they still kind of gave you this look at your life as it had been so far. And what did you think of that?
Well, I believe that my life review, which involved a lot with my father had a lot to do with this. I was raised by a father that was physically and mentally abusive. And in my life review, I came in front of him and relived the beatings that I had taken. And I felt not only my pain, but I felt his pain, that he actually felt beating me, which was very surprising to me. So I endured both sides, and the pain was excruciating.
Do you think you were meant to see it so you would understand it? Then when you came back as an adult, back to your life?
Absolutely. And I would be put before my father once again, which I had to have the total understanding of unconditional love and forgiveness for him to be able to go through the next phase of my life.
What was it like when we think about heaven? We all have our pictures of angels and white and all that and fluffy clouds. And what was it like when you saw what you saw during those 8 minutes?
Oh gosh, there are the most descriptive words in the dictionary can't describe the beauty and the love up there. When I crossed through the light and I looked, and the beautiful green pastures, the brilliant colors there, and the dogs and the cats that were running through, which really warmed my heart because I have such a love for animals. It was just undescribable, the magnificent, the radiance that you feel there. I was never going to come back.
And you hear that people often don't really want to come back to their earthly body, but how do you know that this wasn't just a wild dream that you had? How do you know that this wasn't just something that we all think of, wow, it's so real? But it was
more real than living. I was finally living. living. I was light, I was free, and I was home, and there's just no denying it.
Oh, you're giving me goosebumps right now. If you want to read the book, I'm telling you, I've already got people lined up after me to read your book. It's called A Room Nearby. Kathy Baker is the author, along with your husband, helped you put it together. She's right here locally. She lives in Roseville, and I recommend it if you have any interest in the afterlife or what happens to us when we die. It really is a fascinating read. Look, I got goosebumps right now. Thank you so much for coming in and sharing your story with us, Mark. Back to you.
That is eerie. Goosebumps, absolutely. By the way, did you say where we could meet her today?
No, if you want to
you can meet Kathy today during a book signing taking place actually Saturday, 1 p.m., Borders in Roseville at 2030 Douglas Boulevard. A remarkable story, amazingly told. Go check it out. Get a chance to meet her in person. Hey, the fine for getting caught using your cell phone while driving is going